Hi, welcome to today's Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about appraisals. We thought it was really important to update our Appraisal Tip Tuesday video because effective December 2021, the California Association of Realtors updated our contracts. So there's a lot of videos that we want to make sure are up to date. So we're getting this information out to you, the consumer, the public. So what is the purpose of an appraisal and why do we need one? Well, if a buyer is going to be purchasing a home and obtaining a loan in order to purchase that home, that lender will be requiring an appraisal, unless obviously you're one of the lucky ones and you get an appraisal waiver, but that doesn't happen very often. So an appraisal is a professional opinion, and the appraiser is going to act as the eyes and ears for that lender. So one thing I always explain to my clients, you can send 3 different appraisers out there and they can give you 3 different opinions. If they're a professional and they have knowledge about the area, they pretty much will all come in around the same. They will have a copy of your purchase agreement and what you're buying that property for. That will be the number that they're trying to reach. So in this scenario, we're going to say the buyer's purchasing the home for $500,000. Now, an appraisal is also a contingency in the contract, and you can refer to our other videos on what is a contingency. So the appraiser is going to be physically visiting the property. When they go out there, they're going to be measuring it, checking the square footage, and all of this is done to determine the property value. They will also be looking for health and safety issues. So an example of health and safety issues is lead-based paint. So any house built prior to 1979 could have lead-based paint. They quit using lead-based paint after 1979. So if an appraiser goes out to the home and sees peeling paint, they would note that on their appraisal report, and when it goes back to the lender could require a lead-based paint test, and also if it came back positive, then they would require it to be remedied in order for the buyer to purchase the home with the loan. Another example of a health and safety item is if the roof is actively leaking or there's evidence of a roof leak. So they walk into the home and they see a big water stain on the ceiling. They will take a picture of that and they will note it in their report. So one of the things we like to do on the Homes by Henson team is prior to listing a property, we like to do our inspection and give recommendations to correct these items prior to putting the house on the market, so it isn't a red flag for a lender. 3 other things that they will check is making sure the water heater is anchored, braced, or strapped due to earthquake. That's a California law. Also to make sure that smoke detectors are installed as per code and that there's a carbon monoxide detector. Now, a carbon monoxide detector, you only need 1 per floor. If it's a single-story home, you only need 1. If it's a 2-story home, you'll need 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs. Another thing that's important to realize is that your lender or the lender will only loan on the appraised value or the purchase price, whichever is lower. So in our example of purchasing the home for $500,000, if the property appraises at $510,000, the lender will only loan on the purchase price, the $500,000. Now, if it appraised for $490,000, then the lender would only loan on the $490,000. Now, if for some reason the property does not appraise, the buyer has 3 options. Option number 1 is to cancel based on the appraisal and get their initial deposit refunded back to them. They can go back to the seller, provide a copy of the appraisal report, and renegotiate. And in the scenario we just gave, they would ask for a price reduction for the property to be reduced to $490,000. The third option is to accept. So in our scenario, they're purchasing for $500,000, it appraised for $490,000, they would bring in the difference. Now, does the buyer have to provide a copy of the appraisal to the seller? This is new, effective December 2021. And the answer is, if it's a non-FHA or VA loan, for example, conventional hard money, they do not have to provide a copy of the appraisal to the seller. But if the property is FHA or VA, as per section 12 in the California real estate purchase contract, they are required to provide a copy of that appraisal to the seller. Now, why the changes? Well, it makes sense because if a buyer's purchasing the home FHA or VA, there'll be a case number assigned to that property that stays with that property. So if for some reason the buyer cancels, could be because of appraisal, could be because of loan, investigations, whatever other contingencies they have, and the seller has to put the property back on the market and they end up getting another offer, let's say from an FHA buyer, that new FHA buyer has to use that same appraisal. And that case number has to be transferred to the new buyer. So in the past, it's been problematic getting the buyer or the lender to release that appraisal in order for the new buyer to take it over. So I hope that answered your questions about appraisal, but if not, feel free to reach out to us because we're always here to take your call. I'm Chantel Henson with the Homes by Henson team, Vanco Real Estate Executives. And if you like what you see, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell notification because we post these every Tuesday. Thanks again for joining us and have a great day.